Are you diving into TensorFlow and feeling a bit lost when it comes to initializing variables? You're not alone. Today, we're going to explore the best ways to initialize variables in TensorFlow. And trust me, you won't want to miss this. I totally get it. When you're trying to build a model, the last thing you want is to get stuck on something as basic as variable initialization. It's a common hurdle for many developers, and we're here to clear it up. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. One user asked, what is the best way to initialize variables in TensorFlow? They mentioned two methods and wanted to know the difference between them. Sound familiar? Let's break it down. So what are these two methods? The first method involves calling the global variable initializer before declaring your variables. The second method does it after. But what does that really mean for your code? Let's find out. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a pro tip that can help you avoid common pitfalls when working with TensorFlow. To initialize variables in TensorFlow, the user can choose to call the global variable initializer before or after declaring the variables. Let's explore both methods. In the first method, the user should import TensorFlow, then create the global variable initializer and session before declaring any variables. This ensures that all variables are initialized before they are used. In the second method, the user declares the variables first and then calls the global variable initializer. This approach works as well, but the variables will not be initialized until after the initializer is called. The difference between these two methods lies in the timing of the variable initialization. The first method ensures that all variables are ready to use immediately, while the second method requires an additional step to initialize them. In conclusion, while both methods are valid, the user may prefer the first method for clarity and to avoid potential issues with uninitialized variables. Fun fact: did you know that TensorFlow was originally developed by researchers and engineers from the Google Brain team? It's come a long way since then, making deep learning more accessible to everyone. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. So, which method is better? It really depends on your specific use case. If you want to ensure all variables are ready to go before you start using them, initializing before declaration is the way to go. But if you prefer to declare first, just remember to initialize before use. According to another user, the key difference between the two initialization methods is that the first option fails. If you try to run the linear model before initializing the variables, you'll encounter an error indicating that the variable is uninitialized. Therefore, it's recommended to initialize variables after creating them. Now let's shift our focus to a different response. This user suggests viewing TensorFlow as a graph. They emphasize that when you declare variables like w and b, you're simply describing the graph. The actual values are not computed until you run a session. Therefore, they recommend the second approach, where you declare your variables first and then initialize them afterward. Here's that pro tip I promised. Always double-check your variable initialization order. It can save you a lot of headaches down the line when debugging your models. And there you have it. You now know the best ways to initialize variables in TensorFlow. If you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button for more tips and tricks. Keep coding, and see you next time.